The lineage dossiers. Prince William halts Archie's standing as Harry's genetic evidence ignites a palace firestorm. He might be your kid, but does he belong to the crown? At exactly 9:07 in the morning on February 12, 2026, the palace dropped a bombshell that rattled the entire United Kingdom and stunned royal observers across the globe. The announcement, professional but unmistakably sharp, verified that Prince William had formally declined to endorse the independent genetic findings presented by Prince Harry. Documentation intended to demonstrate that Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor is genetically Harry's own flesh and blood, thus qualifying for restoration to the royal registry. However, this wasn't just a standard case of brotherly doubt. This was a systemic embargo, a proclamation that no kid, not even a single one, asserting royal ancestry, would be allowed back into the successional order without forensic grade authentication performed under monarchical oversight. Basically, William demands a re-evaluation, and not merely from a clinic, but via the institution's own security network. Consequently, the royal house is battling internally once more. As for the risks, we're talking about the validity of two royal offspring, the standing of two brothers, and the destiny of the crown's continuous lineage. The saga kicked off, in the public eye anyway, when Harry's attorneys handed over a comprehensive dossier to Clarence House late last week. The packet allegedly spanned 72 pages, featuring genetic results from a Bracefold, California facility verifying Harry fathered Archie, a notarized declaration from Meghan Markle outlining her gestation schedule from 2018 to 2019, sonogram files from a private specialist in Beverly Hills, a duplicate of Archie's birth record, and a certified testimony from an employee at a Portland hospital. The objective was obvious: reinstate Archie and Lilibet as official royals after years away and pave the way for their rehabilitation into the dynasty and its perks, particularly since Harry has voiced an interest in moving back to the UK after his highly publicized split from Meghan. Yet, Prince William's reaction wasn't just strict. It was clinically analytical. Per numerous insiders inside the walls, William instantly reactivated the FREST, Sovereign Succession Security Council, or SSSC, a formerly inactive panel composed of legal, intel, and archive experts charged with confirming ancestral purity during conflicts. In a matter of hours, William's team put a royal hold on Archie's incorporation efforts, pointing out major anomalies and unsettled inconsistencies. Palace staff have since disclosed the specific grounds for William's refusal, a 6-point internal brief, dubbed the Bloodline Files. These are the warning signs William and his counselors claim remain unaddressed. Numerous photos of Meghan Markle while expecting seem to display drastically different bump sizes on the very same day. Royal detectives have verified the time codes. The palace's digital forensics squad maintains that camera angles and wardrobe can't explain the discrepancies, stoking old rumors that a prosthetic belly might have been utilized. In contrast to the deliveries of William and Catherine's kids, there isn't any signed verification from the royal doctors, Sir Marcus Setchell or Dr. Guy Thorpe Beeston, concerning Meghan's labor or birth. No hospital release forms have ever been lodged in the royal records. Archie's birth document was altered almost a month after it was issued, swapping Rachel Meghan Markle for Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Although Meghan's team insisted the palace ordered it, William labeled the edit unheard of and baffling, pointing out that Catherine's complete legal name stays the same on the certificates for all 3 of her kids. The debut picture of Archie at Windsor Castle has been questioned for ages. Lighting pros have determined the shot was captured using professional studio gear and palace staff described the setup as looking more like a fashion shoot than a candid moment. The occasion was barred to standard media photographers. In May 2019, a $500,000 transfer was tracked from Archewell LLC to a fertility center near the Mexican border famous for surrogacy options and total secrecy. The wire hit 5 days prior to Meghan's formal birth declaration. Insiders claim the clinic focuses on all-inclusive, private, gestational bundles. Maybe the most incriminating detail comes from a secret audit by ex-MI6 cyber decoders, now working for the palace's protection division, who found the Archewell payment held encoded messages mentioning a non-disclosure pact between the facility and an outside party. These memos were marked as signs of a hidden surrogacy deal. William, famous for his composed yet steel-willed nature, reportedly told staff, "This isn't about rejecting my brother. It's a firewall to safeguard the monarchy's constitutional integrity." Behind closed doors, though, the tension is thick. A contact near the Privy Council disclosed that William has slammed the brakes on adding Harry's kids back to the official royal lineup, demanding a Crown-approved genetic audit be carried out right there on British soil. Harry, meanwhile, is firing back, claiming his brother is using administrative red tape to stall what he maintains is his birthright. While Meghan has kept her lips sealed in public, her legal sharks are already signaling that global human rights statutes could come into play if the firm keeps stonewalling the children's status. As this mess gets uglier, courtiers are terrified the feud might spark a total public autopsy of every file and, ruling tied to the Sussexes' dramatic exit in 2020, covering wire transfers, media deals, and private notes that have been buried for years. On the heels of William's shocking dismissal of the genetic proof, handed over by his brother, the focus swings across the pond to a California facility, an attorney up in Oregon, and a mysteriously scrubbed email that could tear the Sussex case apart. Smack in the middle of this hurricane is Horizon Gene Diagnostics, an exclusive private testing outfit in Santa Barbara, located barely 30 minutes from the couple's Montecito mansion. This is the spot, Harry's lawyers allege, where an analysis took place in mid-January 2026 that wrapped up with a certainty rating over 99.999%, proving Harry is definitively the biological dad of Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor. William's team, however, instantly poked holes in the procedure. Palace. Staffers point out the vials were personally walked in by a biased courier, allegedly Meghan's ex-chief of staff, instead of moving through a secure, tamper-evident chain of command. Making things even messier, Horizon Gene lacks accreditation from the UK's Royal College of Pathologists and holds no standing under ISO 17025, the global benchmark for forensic centers managing court-admissible proof. Insiders at the Sovereign Succession Security Council, or SSSC, suggest the whole stunt looked engineered to manufacture a specific outcome rather than find facts. Supervision of the intake was managed by Douglas Hall, an attorney out of Oregon who focuses on parental rights disputes for cross-border families. Hall, per records examined by The Telegraph, didn't just coordinate the testing order. He also lodged a formal plea with the UK Privy Council for Harry, demanding they reinstate royal security for Archie and Lilibet, citing these paternity findings. But Hall's role is now under a microscope following the leak of an internal memo from his firm dated January 22, 2026, which the Times got their hands on. The subject line reads, "We need optics, not science." The body text says, if Horizon Gene can't rush the data by the 26th, locate an affiliate ready to validate pre-test legitimacy. It doesn't need to be ironclad. It just has to appear flawless. We need optics, not science. The palace is only going to view the documents. Hall has not rejected the email's legitimacy. In a hazy release to the press, he argued the note was ripped from context while they were prepping for a routine motion. Pouring gas on the flames is a fresh chronology put out by William's team. Citing banking, tracking, and flight manifests, the genetic material was jet-setted from LA to London on January 24th, yet an exact copy was shipped to a secondary facility in Zurich, one that never got paid and thus never conducted. The exam. Palace sleuths argue this points to a premeditated contingency plan, implying the Sussex squad saw a UK denial coming and wanted to construct alternate evidence paths. Even more incriminating, the internal logs at the Zurich site tagged the vial as practice use only. There was zero official chain of possession set up over there either. As a high-ranking Home Office suit whispered off the record, this doesn't scan as a fatherhood verification. It plays out like the season finale of a streaming docuseries. The visuals are honestly stark. A Tinseltown style lab, an overseas legal crew, a calculated drop scheduled to hit right alongside a PR blitz driven by Team Sussex platforms. All this while the firm stayed hush-hush but was gearing up behind closed doors. And now that quiet is shattering. If Horizon Gene threw the initial shade, MI6 just pulled down the blackout shades. As the monarchy war's over, Harry's disputed genetic receipts, the bloodline dossiers, have swerved into grimmer, more volatile territory. Contacts near the Sovereign Succession Security Council, or SSSC, a top-secret intel brief written by ex-intelligence spies and locked under the codename File, Sigma, has been brought back online. The header states, Disruption of Lineal Continuity Sussex Asset Anomalies, 2019 to 2023. And sitting at the heart of this bombshell file is a transaction, a facility, and a riddle that could totally rewrite the monarchy's definition of legitimate. On May 1st, 2019, 5 days before the palace officially, just as Archie's arrival was being made public, Archwell LLC pushed through a payment totaling exactly $499,900. The funds went straight to a hush-hush fertility facility located just outside Tijuana, Mexico, a place famous among the medical elite for handling complex surrogacy arrangements, especially for ultra-wealthy global figures who demand absolute privacy and watertight confidentiality contracts. The clinic in question, which hasn't been named publicly, functions under a specific type of medical license that bypasses the need to publicly list surrogate mothers, frequently managing international births that involve unidentified donors and tailored reproductive plans. But it wasn't reporters or government auditors who flagged this deal. It was a squad of ex-intelligence crypto experts now employed by the palace's digital security wing, known internally as the Custodian Unit. They tracked the money, leaving a backup Archwell LLC account, watching it bounce through two dummy corporations in Delaware and the Caymans until it hit a numbered bank account in Mexico attached to a holding firm listed as Forscana Biamed S.A. So, what set off the red flags? According to a source within that security team, this wasn't for a standard checkup. It was payment for a complete surrogacy agreement, and the wire hit just 5 days prior to the official announcement of Archie's birth. Both fans and skeptics have spent years arguing over the infamous 2019 moon bump hypothesis, a massive internet rumor suggesting Meghan Markle utilized a fake baby bump while making her scheduled rounds. Back then, major news outlets waved it off as nothing more than a hateful, prejudiced attack. However, inside the royal household, experts kept analyzing the footage. Now that intelligence-linked specialists are reviewing old photos, fresh evidence has come to light. Specifically, 3 shots of Meghan taken on March 5, 2019, depict her attending separate events in London, first at King's College and later at a charity discussion. In the first image, her stomach looks large, tight, and sits low. Yet in the second picture taken only a few hours after that, her belly looks significantly reduced and positioned higher up with visible folds under her jacket that imply some kind of fabric buckling. The palace ordered a confidential visual analysis using three-dimensional depth technology, which determined that no natural pregnancy could shift that drastically in size and shape within a 6-hour window. Then you have the claims from an ex-employee who, on condition of anonymity, revealed that the nursery at Frogmore Cottage was entirely too clean. There was no prep for a baby, no postpartum gear, not even a pump for feeding. The whole setup felt fake. This new info has triggered private summits involving Prince William, Princess Anne, and the King's top legal experts. Royal rules state clearly that for a child to be listed in the official family registry, they need a proven blood tie to a current royal, a delivery certified by the royal doctors, and a continuous paper trail verified every step of the way by officials. Right now, none of those criteria are met regarding Archie or Lilibet. Certainly not without dispute. But this issue is bigger than just names on a document. Royal historian Dr. Miles Grayson noted that this isn't a question of parenting skills. It's about preserving the legal and symbolic framework of the crown. If that lineage gets broken, even by accident, it could nullify hundreds of years of tradition. Late last night, Prince Harry released a sharp statement via his London attorneys, claiming that Prince William is using suspicion as a weapon to hold back justice for the children. He insisted this isn't a monarchy built on DNA swabs. It's a family matter. He maintained that Archie and Lilibet are theirs and true Windsors. However, William's camp privately argues that this reaction is just an emotional distraction. A source near the Queen Consort allegedly noted that Harry is chasing the perks of the title without accepting the required oversight. They emphasized that the institution runs on records, not feelings. On the night of February 11th, 2026, a velvet folder labeled Lineage 1A Urgent Seal was couriered directly from the palace to the Royal Register's office. It contained an official order signed by Prince William, representing the Crown Succession Security Council, commanding an immediate freeze on the security. Royal Household Register. This order halted all changes, updates, or confirmations regarding Archie and Lilibet's standing until a so-called full-spectrum bloodline review is finished. Basically, this leaves the kids in a total royal gray area. This has evolved past a domestic argument about fatherhood into a constitutional battle that risks revealing secrets the monarchy has hidden for decades and ripping open old wounds, suppressed by years of tradition and carefully curated public images. Ever since Queen Victoria's time, Family Register has functioned as a locked archive, tracking the names, titles, and official legitimacy of every single Windsor heir. But in modern history, an entry has never been paused after being filed, until now. Insiders with deep knowledge of the internal lockdown protocols say Prince William triggered Section 6 of the Sovereign Child Declaration Act. It is an old-school, binding rule from 1837 that lets the heir to the throne pause any royal bloodline claims if things get murky, disruptive, or legally messy. It is basically the ultimate fail-safe for bloodline control, noted former palace historian Edward Lonsdale. And nobody has touched it in more than a century. This means that even though Prince Harry is trying to get his kids back in the mix using DNA paperwork, every title, inheritance right, or ceremonial perk remains stuck in limbo. This move wasn't just for show, it had real teeth. The digital files for Archie and Lilibet were manually scrubbed from the active system, and the IT crew red-flagged any future edits to their status for a security check. But while William handles the legal side, a ghost from the past is back in the ring, King Charles III. Two top-tier sources confirm a secret note Charles wrote in December 2025, right before his health check, was opened because William asked for it. The details are still top secret, but we know the subject line. Regarding Sussex kids and the trust baseline, here is the scoop on what we do know. That file was locked behind level 4 security at Marlborough House. Charles penned it after. Princess Anne briefed him on gaps in Archie's timeline. It lays out steps to take if more forensic red flags pop up. Insiders hint the memo might give the green light to block hereditary rights for any kid not born under strict, witnessed protocols. One aide said Charles was torn apart by the situation. He had the heart of a grandpa, but the heavy burden of a king. In the end, he let William make the call. On February 12th at 8 in the morning, Meghan Markle's legal team hit back hard at the UK High Court. They claimed Prince William and the Privy Council were staging a hostile takeover masked as a background check. In the lawsuit, Meghan's lawyers insist the children hold dual citizenship in the States and Britain, protected by global family laws. They argue the royal household list isn't a real government agency and has zero legal standing to decide who is legitimate. Scrubbing Archie and Lilibet's names, they say, amounts to wiping them out of existence. The filing included shots from Archie's party in Montecito and a sworn statement from Tyler Perry. He vouched that Meghan carried and raised those kids herself while dealing with insane public hate. Still, the palace hasn't said a peep about the lawsuit. That silence is a tactical move. The family split is totally out in the open now. Princess Anne is reportedly backing William's hardline approach and wants a neutral medical panel involved. Prince Edward feels weird about the aggressive tone, but knows the crown can't be caught sleeping again. Queen Camilla kept quiet publicly, but was heard behind closed doors saying the crown has to rise above the mess. As for Harry, sources say he is furious and heartbroken, feeling stabbed in the back by his brother and the institution he used to serve. One insider called a recent chat between William and Harry brief, harsh, and freezing cold. A blocked registry, a secret letter, and a bond between brothers shattered. With legal options running dry and family ties snapping, this royal crisis has turned into something way riskier than just a paperwork dispute. It is now a war over the moral core of the throne itself. At the center of this storm is William's massive decision to freeze all titles and money tied to Harry's kids, Archie and Lilibet, until a new ethics board finishes a total review. This group, the Royal Commission for Lineal Ethics and Continuity, went live on February 12, 2026. That commission isn't just a theory anymore. It is up and running. With the books locked and the kids' status up in the air, William sent a strict notice to the College of Arms to stop using prince or princess titles for them. It is not a full legal cancellation under the stop letters patent yet, but it is a strict rule in practice. It bans court staff, aides, military reps, and even event planners from using royal styles for the Sussex children in any official way. The directive is clear. Until the bloodline is proven to the Crown's satisfaction, the statement reads, "The styling of Royal Highness remains suspended. Regarding royal status will be paused to protect the monarchy's reputation." Sources claim this choice wasn't made easily, but felt necessary considering the worldwide focus on the kids' genetic roots and the chance of future throne rights. Yet, even more explosive than rank is the shadowy issue of Lady Di's remaining fortune, which her revised 1996 will split evenly among her boys and, ultimately, their lawful heirs. However, with the status of Harry's kids now on hold, doubts have arisen about getting their cut of the Diana Fund, valued above $22 million. Several insiders verify that the Prince of Wales privately spoke to the executors, suggesting they might put the Sussex offspring's portion into a holding account pending the final verdict. Doing so would basically sever instant access to funds, particularly since the Duke allegedly counts on that inheritance to fund his family during the implosion of his business ventures. Privately, he calls this a backstab not only to him, but to his mother. He insists she would never let obsession over genetics trump her affection for the grandbabies. He allegedly told a pal that she valued connections over paperwork. Still, court aides contend that exactly because of that historical weight, this issue requires strict handling. Ideally, we'd rely on emotions, noted Lord Pembroke, and off-the-books counsel for the monarchy. But this comes down to financial duty until legal standing is proven. Managers have to be careful. Created by Royal Charter in 1975, yet never deployed openly before. The investigative body, known as the Arlec, has been cited during previous emergencies, but mostly worked in the shadows. Now, for the first time anyone can remember, its 7-member board is gathering completely. The group features 2 high-ranking peers from the Ethics Board, a former High Court Justice, the head record keeper, an Oxford history expert, the top church attorney, and an ex-spy whose identity is classified. Their mission is to decide if the ancestry of the Sussex children satisfies the baseline requirements for legal and traditional standing needed to keep or regain their place in the firm. It goes beyond simple genetics, explained expert Fiona Travers. This concerns faith, custom, and preserving the crown during an era of deepfakes. Insiders claim the panel has demanded every draft of the kids' birth records, Meghan's flight manifests from the 12 months leading up to delivery, security logs from their UK home, and censored banking statements. If the board decides the pregnancies didn't align with the strict rules mandated by the Crown, the consequences will be earth-shattering. The children would be erased from the line of succession. All claims to rank would vanish under the law. Official tours, celebration duties, or formal appearances would be forbidden. Access to the grandmother's fortune might be voided or redirected. Even more serious, the Duke could lose his own royal style, since certain panelists see his behavior as possibly faking ancestry to gain palace advantages. The Crown has weathered affairs, banishment, and quitting the throne, Travers noted. But faking the bloodline? That sparks a backlash of historic proportions. Surveys out on the night of February 12th indicate 62% of Brits back the 7th investigation. 47% think status should stay paused, yet 41% feel for the Duke, viewing his brother's move as cold-hearted red tape. Online, tags like hashtag Archie Truth Files and hashtag Diana would love them are viral worldwide. However, so is hashtag Crown or Chaos. The clock is ticking. The institution teeters on the brink of its most intimate legal judgment in 100 years, past the wrought iron barriers and inside the cyber-secure walls of the Ethics Committee. A final ruling is being hammered out. The core issue: are the children truly legitimate members of the dynasty? By the 13th of February 2026, the dossier created following a 6-day audit of nativity documents, global wire transfers, and sworn witness statements is under the eyes of just 3 people: the heir, the Princess Royal, and the top legal officer. Although the verdict stays locked by palace rules, the aftershocks are already rippling out. The Duchess, who is kept notably quiet during most of the inquiry, is allegedly taping a sit-down meant to drop within hours of the announcement. Insiders from her camp verify that her statement will be blunt, intended for both the palace hierarchy and the general populace. The sit-down taped at her Montecito compound 2 nights back is slated to feature a fierce defense of her role as a mother, deep dives into her pregnancy and labor stories, and her claim that this inquiry is built on sexism, class snobbery, and institutional gatekeeping. "I carried my babies. I delivered them, and now they're trying to wipe them out," Meghan reportedly states in the clip, "This isn't about ancestry. It's about dominance, terror, and holding the reins. An independent American production house is managing the project. No Netflix, no Spotify, and it will drop directly on YouTube, Instagram, and various global networks." Palace insiders are steeling themselves for the fallout. Prince William, meanwhile, is readying his own rebuttal, one far less sentimental but equally momentous. A draft declaration dubbed "Regarding Ancestry" and "Constitutional Stability" is allegedly finished and set for release within 24 hours of the committee's ruling. King Charles signed off on the speech in theory prior to his latest medical leave. The Commission's verdict covers the permanent registry standing of Archie and Lilibet, plus the Crown's policy on future title and inheritance claims from heirs born outside vetted royal protocols. Associates of William describe the tone as steely, unwavering, and deeply intimate. He reportedly states this ruling wasn't born of spite. It was born of obligation. "I'd sooner shoulder public anger than gamble with the dissolution of royal reality." Those near him claim he has accepted the fallout, even if it means losing Harry for good. Adding to the suspense is a late-breaking curveball. A sealed flight log slipped out by Heathrow customs agents identifies a private jet set to touch down on the morning of February 14, 2026. The passenger list: 1 adult male traveling, under the alias Henry Mountbatten-Windsor, plus 2 dependent minors. The flight originated from Van Nuys Airport, California. The operator is a quiet international charter service, often booked by top-tier royals, notably absent Meghan. No bodyguards, no media. Palace officials haven't verified or debunked the log. However, sources hint Prince Harry might be flying back to Britain solo with Archie and Lilibet. If accurate, that's a massive move, noted royal reporter Olivia Hart. It could be Harry's final Hail Mary to prove the kids belong not just by genetics, but by physical proximity. Still, others aren't buying it. It might be a decoy, cautioned one palace contact. This clan plays chess, not checkers. Reporters have started camping out right in front of Buckingham Palace. Across Europe, a fresh wave of breaking news is hitting the stands. Kids in limbo. Royal judgment looming. The Times, The Prince and the Power. DNA records. Lilibet's lost legacy. Der Spiegel, Markle versus the monarchy. Who owns the pedigree? Public sentiment is monarchy. Split down the middle. Some portray Meghan as a contemporary mom steamrolled by archaic customs. Others view William as the essential guardian of royal stability. And plenty now regard Harry as the heartbreaking middleman, a guy ripped apart by affection, allegiance, and heritage. Should the commission side with Archie and Lilibet, the kids get restored to the royal register, cleared to use prince and princess titles, added to the formal line of succession, and authorized to receive payouts from Diana's estate. Conversely, if the board rules against them, the children face total and permanent removal from royal standing. All ceremonial and legal rights become null and void. Any effort to brandish titles in a public or media setting could spark a lawsuit. Prince Harry might even deal with punitive measures for false representation. A closing provision in the charter permits the King or the Prince of Wales in his place to veto or ratify the decision. Yet every signal suggests William won't step in. He plans to honor whatever judgment comes down and enforce it strictly. This is beyond a mere tabloid saga. It's a worldwide lesson in heritage, authority, selfhood, and facts. 2 siblings, 2 offspring, a single ancestry. One query will shape the monarchy for decades. Does mere biology make you royal, or does the crown have to validate you first? We find out tomorrow.